Are you struggling for consistency in your sim racing? Does your iRating look like a roller coaster? If so, we have good news for you. The way to get more consistent is to first understand what you're doing differently than the professionals. And VRS is the answer. With our competitive subscription, you will have the telemetry, setups, tutorials, and everything else you need to fully analyze your driving. Our data packs and the ability to compare your driving with the best in the world will show you exactly where to adjust your inputs, change your driving line, and shave seconds off of your lap times. And our powerful and precise Direct Force Pro wheelbase and precision pedals are being used by some of the world's best drivers. All these champions agree that VRS hardware is not just the best on the market, it's also priced well below the competition. So if you're looking to upgrade to direct drive and the best pedals in sim racing, VRS is your answer. If you want to get better, get faster, and make it happen sooner rather than later, you owe it to yourself to find out why so many people are switching to VRS. You'll be so glad that you did. Visit www.virtualracingschool.com and learn why the best use VRS.
Hello and welcome to Apex Racing TV and our coverage of the Radical Sim Racing European Championship 2024. We are into the final stretch of the season now with several rounds already complete, and we head down under to Australia and the Phillip Island circuit for 2 races tonight. My name is Sam Fitzpatrick. Alongside me in the comms box is Aaron Smith. Luis Araya is bringing you this stream on our YouTube channel. And Aaron, this is a Phillip Island circuit that we do not visit enough, in my opinion. It is a legendary bike circuit. I think, dare I say, maybe even more than 50%. Certainly it is probably the most popular MotoGP circuit on the calendar because it produces great racing year after year. It's not used so much for cars, but I'm very pleased that we are witnessing it this Sunday evening.
Well, I have to be honest, I'm a little bit iffy with Phillip Island. I think I've only ever raced around it, literally I could count it on my fingers. I've never really used Phillip Island that much, to be honest. I think it was a Formula 3.5 race, a Formula 3 race, and I think a Formula V as well, and that's about it. I've not really got any other experience around here, to be honest. I've witnessed it many times, commentating, probably more times than I've raced. But I would agree that it's a pretty fun track. For cars, it can be a bit awkward. For bikes, I agree. Very fun and amazing racetrack. But for cars, we do tend to struggle sometimes for racing here. But I think in these radicals, typically when we come in the SR10, it's always some good fun. And I don't think today will be any different.
It should be very good, and we should have some competitive drivers in the championship. Going into this round of the championship, we've already got 8 rounds in the books. It's 12 in total, so only 4 rounds to go, so it's fairly significant about these drivers. And of course, whilst the overall championship does matter, the main thing they'll want to get is the top positions in order to get into the final at the end of the year. But in the AMS, it's Gabriel Berger who is at the top, 10 points clear of Adam Lockdoor and Laliva in 3rd place. Next, Tom Mueller and Menno de Graaf rounding out the top 5. But like I said, it's all about that qualification for the final in December, and so you really want to be in the top 10 in both the Pro and the AM if you possibly can. And in the Pro Championship, we've got Andres Friedrich at the top, and again a 10-point margin for himself ahead of James Barry and Christoph Lipp.
I'd say both championships are very much alive at the moment. And, well, I mean, last time out at Silverstone, I mean, Sam, you haven't been here for eons at this point, but Silverstone was a great round all round. It was just fantastic. Friedrich, Barry, Lipp, couple other drivers getting involved up at the front as well. It was super, super close. And in the end, of course, it was James Barry taking the victory in the feature race. It was Christoph Lipp in the heat race, but the feature's obviously the one you want to win. And it was his first win of the season for James Barry, and it was a extremely close one. I think it was 0.2 of a second separating Barry and Friedrich at the end. It was some amazing racing between those three, and hopefully we'll get more of the same today, as Barry has kind of now brought himself back into the championship fight. He was starting to slip away just a little bit, but Andreas Friedrich increasing his lead ever so slightly as he got a second last time out, and just really good consistency from the German driver.
Yeah, very, very consistent. And yeah, I certainly remember Christoph probably being the top driver. I think when I last commentated on this, I was back at Barber. So it was a while back. But yeah, I am very pleased to be back for this round. And we are just starting qualifying now. It is a lone qualifying session. This will set the grid for race 1. And then, of course, however race 1 finishes, will set the grid for race 2. But you do get more points for race 2, as Aaron was alluding to earlier on. That is the one that you want to win. And you also get bonus points as well for getting few incidents. For race 1, I believe it's 1 bonus point for 0 incidents. For race 2, you can get 2 bonus points for 0 incidents and 1 bonus point if you get 1 or 2 incidents. So that is something else to watch out for. And at this Phillip Island circuit, with the off-tracks being so treacherous, it is very possible to get 0 incidents across the race. It's not really much of a motivation to track extend, because as you can see, it is grass lining the entire perimeter of this track.
Yeah, I was just going to say that if you're getting an off-track round here, you know, clearly something has gone very wrong. You've gone wide, or you've missed a braking point, or someone has clarted you up the rear, or you've clarted someone up the rear. So, yeah, I'd say we should get a couple people getting that bonus point. I think the drivers up at the top, especially like James Barry, Friedrich, and Lipp and co, probably will be getting those bonus points. I can't imagine they'll be getting any off tracks at all, making this qualifying session as well just that little bit easier. As we were talking about last time out at Silverstone, it's kind of the opposite. The off tracks can be very, very harsh, especially in that middle part of the lap. But round here, not really too much to worry about unless, like I said, you've made some kind of very, very big mistake.
Yes, yeah, that will be useful for the drivers as they start their first laps now. Very high tyre wear at this circuit as well. At least it can be the case. The weather today isn't too bad. This is in oh dear, New South Wales. I'm gonna have to check. It's in Melbourne.
I was
And
to say it's Melbourne.
yeah, I'll check what the state is. But yeah, it is the warm part of the world, and this is the winter though, obviously in the southern hemisphere. So the temperature is not too bad, 19 degrees air, and that will put some relief on the tyres, but still probably a little bit tricky in race 2 because of the very long corners that we have at this Phillip Island circuit. It really is a bike track, and these long corners do suit it very well. But also some opportunity for slipstream as well. These cars should be able to go through the final corner flat out, and that means that you have a very long run, really from the last braking point all the way, which is pretty much here, all the way to the start-finish line. Guy Robertson running a little bit wide himself. But this man, championship leader, Andreas Friedrich, will be one of the first men to cross the line and set a time. But the track extends, and that will be a 1x, and this lap will not count.
Well, you know, you were saying that last corner was flat out. And, well, from watching that, I'm not so sure. Maybe just a lapse in concentration, or did it on purpose to hide his first lap from prying eyes. Who knows what his tactics are for the championship leader. But the times that we are getting as Leliva goes up at the top, very good lap from the Frenchman. It was Adam Locke last time out who was the impressive AM driver. I think he qualified 6th overall, which was extremely impressive. But then Lipp goes 0.3 of a second ahead of Leliva, and that's kind of what we expected, to be honest. I think last time out and in the qualifying session at Silverstone, the top 3 were on average, I think, about half a second ahead of the rest of the field, and that was Lipp, Barry, and Friedrich. And it just goes to show how much ahead those guys are in terms of the rest of the field, and it goes to explain why they're title contenders this season.
Yeah, they're all very good drivers, and all drivers as well who commit to the car. I guess it's the case with any car really in iRacing, but I think in these radicals in particular, it's not necessarily the biggest community when you compare it to maybe some other categories when it comes to GT3s and of course GTPs nowadays as well. As James Barry moves up to second place. But these guys who do focus on in the car, who do the official series, the Friday night split, and of course this championship as well, just putting those hours after hours after hours in can get you those extra bit of time. And for new drivers entering the series, it can be tricky to make that up as Laliva continues to be an absolute weapon out here. He is looking quick at this Phillip Island circuit, and he gets back onto the front row of the grid overall.
Yeah, this is really good for the number 14 Frenchman, who of course is indeed in the, you would say he still is in the championship fight in the AMS. Has had a bit of an iffy season. He's definitely been rapid as Lip. 4/10 of a second ahead, and that's kind of what this man has been doing in qualifying all season long. In the races, he has struggled a little bit more compared to his qualifying pace, but one lap pace for this man, it's been mostly unparalleled for the whole season, and there's a reason why he was so dominant at the start of the season. Just a few mistakes, a couple bits of luck, not really going his way, has allowed drivers like Barry and Friedrich both to get crucial points on him. As well, speaking of Friedrich, seems to be struggling today. We'll see his final few laps, of course, but at the moment, 15th and 1.2 seconds off. Let's see if this lap will be any improvement. And it is, but he's still about half a second off. But actually, when you compare it to the other 18 drivers, apart from Lip, it's actually not too bad.
Yeah, it's the Verstappen treatment, right? Like he's miles out in the lead, and if it weren't for him, then everyone else would be very close. But instead, he has got that margin. Laliva, I think, just went even faster, by the way,
He
only
did.
by a few hundredths of a second, but does open up that gap a bit more. Lip has got this lap, and then one more. Can he go even faster? Could he get into the 22s maybe by the end of this session? Not with that lap. It was a bit of a back-off lap, actually, 8 seconds off. So he will try to go one last time. So they go through this super long turn to one of the trickiest corners on the track. Getting on the power just the right time. Don't want to pick up any of the gravel. And then they'll head into Stoner corner, where Casey Stoner, of course, famously would drift lap after lap through here at super high speed. Absolute classic Stoner. And then into the right-handed hairpin afterwards.
And then coming into turn 6 of Siberia, interesting corner name, to be honest, as he's using all of the track as any top racing driver would. Couple of the curbs at this track as well. I've got to be careful. Some of them are raised like the one he's using now. Some of them are completely flat. Then into this very, very tricky turn 9. Kind of an uphill and then downhill braking. Hard on the brakes for turn 10. And then get on the power slightly on camber, so you can pretty much plant the throttle coming out of there, but not too hard. And then a little bit of snap oversteer coming out of turn 11, and then this last corner should be flat, like Sam mentioned earlier on. Easy flat in these high downforce cars. And across the line, what's it going to be for Christoph Lipp? Is it going to be into the 22s? And it's not going to be quite, and didn't actually improve on that lap, was about a 10th and a half away from his best time. And Friedrich has gone into second place. Now Bjorklund up to third. Good lap from the Norwegian, as Laliva now falls down to fourth. But either way, really, really good lap time from the amateur driver. But remember, with how the point system works in this series, it technically still means there's only one position between himself and Euler, but it just does mean it gives him a buffer to be a little bit more comfortable in the race.
That is very, very true. And yeah, technically, if it ends like this, the Heat 1, he'll only score one more point, besides any bonus points that they can claim. It would be 10 points for Laliva, 9 points for Euler. But yeah, like you said, he's got a few cars in between him. He just needs to make sure that he does not get involved in any instance. But frankly, from the second row of the grid, that should be easier compared to the 5th row of the grid where Euler finds himself in. Everyone has done their laps. You're limited to 4 laps, so that's why a lot of the drivers have gone back to the pits. Welcome to everyone who's watching along as well. Very much appreciate your company. Multi-Apples, as per, is around once again, as he is for many of our streams. And anyone else who is watching along, please let us know who you are supporting. We're a bit more likely to show them on the cameras if you let us know. And it would be great to have your thoughts on the racing as we progress through the couple of events that we have tonight.
Yeah, should be some good racing. I think the last time that I actually did a commentary on Phillip Island, it was with the Radicals, I think about 2 or 3 seasons ago. And that was a good day of racing. And I'm expecting more of the same today, as Gonzaga has completed all of his laps, but is still pushing nonetheless. Maybe get a couple laps extra practice in will do him no harm whatsoever. As he is going to finish this lap. Oh, not quite. It just cuts him straight back to the pit lane. I wonder what that lap time would have been. Looked like he was really sending it on his in lap.
Yeah, absolutely leaving nothing to spare. The pace car is, well, I'm not sure if everyone could see my scenic cameras, but the pace car is firmly in the pits. It's a standing start, of course, as per in these radicals, and will be underway fairly soon. Christoph Lipp is on pole position ahead of Andreas Friedrich and Kim Andre Bjork. And then it's the phenomenal amateur qualifying performance from Dorian Laliva, who is up there in P4 over on pole in the amateurs. Then it's James Barry, Alexander Skiret, Sauli Riitsanen, Mats Jestrenbacken, Dennis Kyriakopoulos, Tom Euler, who's the second place amateur driver, Ketil Larsen, Jorge Gonzaga, Lasse Sorensen, Adam Locke, Gordon Haug, Damien Gee, Stefan Mellis, and Guy Robertson, rounding out the 18 cars we've got.
Yeah, only an 18-car grid, but to be fair, with Phillip Island being a fairly short track, I suspect that this is about perfect for a full grid spot.
A short track located in Victoria, by the way. I did Google it. I only know 3 Australian states. That's Northern Territory, New South Wales, and Victoria. And I knew it was one of the 2. So I picked the wrong one. So apologies to everyone located in New South Wales and Victoria.
To be fair, I had no idea either. I probably would have said New South Wales as well. So don't feel too bad, as well, each county or whatever, each state in Australia is basically the size of the UK, if not bigger. So it doesn't really matter. But we're about to go green, I think. Maybe.
Yes. Everyone is on the grid, and so we will get this Phillip Island Race 1 underway very, very soon. Can Christoph Lipp keep the lead? If he does, he could well pull away from the rest of the field as we launch away. It's a good start for the P2 man, though, of Friedrich, who might be able to get his nose ahead heading into turn 1. They are dead level. It's a poor start for Bjorklund. He's already dropped a couple of places, but it's all about the fight for the lead as Lipp holds on, but Friedrich keeping the inside line for turn 2. We've got a spinner off in the background. Lipp having to go the elongated route round turn 2. Will he be afforded space on the outside? It looks like he will be, and they continue to go alongside. Brilliant start for Laliva. He's up a place, up into P3, and will be hounding down these top 2 as they continue to compromise their lines into Honda hairpin for the first time. Friedrich has done a brilliant job, but he's just slid a little bit wide, and when they go into Siberia, it will be Christoph Lipp, the pole sitter, who re-establishes his lead.
Well, Laliva's had a bit of a issue there. He might have gotten a slowdown, or potentially some hardware problems there, as I didn't see him go off at any point. So I'm genuinely confused as to where he would have gotten a slowdown. But he's gone from, I think he was up to 3rd, and he's now down to 12th, right in the clutches of Adam Locke. But of course, Laliva has got some good pace in his back pocket, so should make up a couple of places. But potentially maybe some hardware problems, or somewhere he got a slowdown. I don't know where.
Yeah.
But yeah, going into turn 4 there, looked like Friedrich got his braking nearly spot on, but just a little bit ambitious trying to overtake Lipp, and just slid a little bit too deep into that corner. And now Lipp probably is going to charge away from the rest of the field in this first heat race, as well, of course, the feature race is where it really hots up. As like you said, Bjorklund didn't get a very good start. He's down a few places. Greshenbakken up about 4 places. Very good start for the Norwegian. Barry up a few places as well. And, well, only a few drivers have stayed where they are, and that's Lip, Friedrich, and Locke. Everyone else has had a huge shift. So very, very chaotic opening lap here at Phillip Island.
Yeah, it's quite a long run down into T1, I think, and it was clearly a very poor launch for Bjorkland, who did not get off the line and was losing places within 100 meters of the race start. But that was a good move as well from Greshenbakken to get past his fellow countryman as well at the start of this lap 2. And we could still see some movers and shakers before the end of the race. Very easy circuit to make mistakes, this one. And I have no idea what happened to Laliva. It could not have been a slowdown because there's nowhere that you can get a slowdown around here,
That's
really.
what I mean.
So I think you're right in terms of it being a hardware thing. It must have been a hardware thing. Or maybe he's trying to, you know, separate the field. Maybe he's trying to make it pros at the front and AMs at the back and he wants to fight. I don't know. Like, it's weird that he lost just enough time to keep the AM lead, but let all the pros pass. This is a good battle though. Tom Euler, he is fighting for P16, of course, second place on the grid out of the amateur drivers, but not a good start for him. He's down 6 places from his race start, but he is ahead of Stefan Melis.
Tom Euler, the man who was leading the amateur championship for so long, but over the past, you want to say about 4 or 5 rounds, has just started to slip back a little bit in terms of pace and, well, just his luck as well has not really gone his way. I remember Interlagos being one of the worst rounds we've seen from him, I think in both races. He had pretty big incidents and, well, still has good pace, of course. As like you said, he qualified second in AM, but off the race start, I think he was the car that went spinning into turn 1. He's battling very, very hard with Robertson, but has just about managed to get ahead as Robertson loses another place to Melis as well. This is Skrett causing a bit of a train as Reitinen and co are kind of pulling away in front. He's got about 6 or 7 cars on his tail. So this is potentially going to be a bit of a nerve-wracking first heat for Skrett, but looks like the cars behind might try fight as they try to catch up to him.
Yeah, he's getting the Jart into T1 this time. Sorensen looks like he's going to get past. He has got past. Good work there, but he's a little bit on the gravel. He'll get away with that. Fortunately, it's on the inside tyre, so there shouldn't be too compromised grip through the next left-hander. And he has held onto it, has Sorensen. Now 5 places from his race start. The IGL Coatings car is having a brilliant day of it. But here comes the move back. And a little bit more gravel being picked up and even more dirt now. And that is onto the periphery of the circuit for Lasse Sorensen, who was up 5 places. He's given up 4 of those places now. And he will not be happy with the defensive maneuvers pulled by his rival there. Let's have a see who was at fault.
Well, it did look a bit of a send from Kirakopoulos. I don't think there was contact made.
It wasn't? No, I thought there may have been like netcode or something, but no, it was by himself.
Yeah, that's what I thought as well. But yeah, maybe just got a bit scared by the late move from Kirakopoulos. I mean, the Swiss driver didn't do anything wrong there by the book. It was maybe a little bit unsportsmanlike going for a very, very deep dive bomb like that, but couldn't pull it off. But Sorensen clearly got a bit scared, got a bit distracted, messed up his braking, and got sent round all the way down to 12th, now back up to 11th place as Laliva still in 12th and just staying there. So maybe you're right, Sam. Maybe he just wants to show off his pace and then give himself a challenge. I don't quite know, to be honest. As I think last time out in Silverstone, he was running in, you know, the top 6 for most of the race, and I think he had an issue towards the end. But here is Bjorkland still trying to get past Greshenbakken, who, like I said before, had a fantastic start. As yeah, Bjorkland did not have a fantastic start, as Laliva and Sorensen are now fighting, and Sorensen just about keeping that position. As the cars behind Kirakopoulos now, the cars behind Skrett, sorry, still forming a very, very long train all the way down to about P14, you'd say.
Yeah, I was going to say that whilst Laliva and Sorensen are battling, it's sort of part of a bigger battle, which goes all the way up to 7th position at the moment, with Sally Raitsonen at the top of it. And Alexander Scott very close to him, and goes back to these drivers. And once again, they plunge onto the straight. Lots of weaving there from Laliva. I'm not quite sure what the strat is there. Maybe not wanting to be in the draft, not wanting to be too close to the car ahead. They don't need to worry about temperatures when it comes to this. I know that's often something in real life motorsport, but it's not really a thing in sim racing. They can stick in the draft as much as they like, but rather than lifting off their Laliva, you seem to want to let off some speed just by weaving a little bit more. And not looking too interested in overtaking right now into Honda Hairpin. Bit of a lock-up for a couple of the cars ahead. That's very close between Larson and Gonzaga. Larson barely hanging on to P9, marginally ahead. In fact, I think it might actually be Larson chasing down Kyriakopoulos in that yellow car. He's already been overtaken and then got caught up in a collision. This time he's trying to avoid the first stage of that.
Yeah, Scratch is just starting to bridge the gap a little bit now. He's a second behind Reitsonen, but about nearly a second ahead of Kyriakopoulos. So now it's the Swiss man who's causing a bit of a train as he slowly falls out of the slipstream of the car in front. Still has it, just about, so he's not going to be getting a huge benefit. And yeah, Sorensen in the background, Laliva going for it, and Laliva had to back out of that one. I think can't really go side by side through the last corner here. I think it is just barely flat in these cars, and while trying to go side by side through there, I can't imagine would end well. So here is Friedrich and Barry getting a bit close to one another, as Lip inevitably just pulling away out in front. And this is kind of what Lip has been doing over the past few rounds. He has an amazing qualifying, gets in first, wins the first heat, but then the feature starts to get a bit more interesting as Bjorklund going for a send round the outside. Looks to be a bit deep. I think Christian Barkham will hold on to 4th place for now, as Reitsonen, who we've not seen too much of this season, is now coming back at these two and potentially getting involved in the battle for 4th. And potentially, if these guys keep fighting, it could bring the huge train of cars that are behind into this battle, and then we'll have about 10 cars fighting for 4th place.
Yeah, that'd be quite something to see. I'm really pleased with how few drivers are making mistakes right now. I did exclaim earlier on when one of the drivers ran well, I think it was Sorensen, but besides that, we're not seeing too many drivers dip wheels onto the gravel or the dirt. It will become more common, I think, in race 2 when the tyres start to wear away and the drivers getting a bit impatient with their failing car performance. But for now, it is very strong. It's very close for P2. It's very close for this battle as well. Is there going to be any changes all the way to the inside? And now trying to carry a lot of speed. On the outside there was Kim-Andre Bjorklund, but he couldn't quite find a way. But you could see what a compromised line Jestrenbacken had to run in order to keep the lead going through turn 1, and Bjorklund does not need to get a whole lot closer coming out the final corner to get ahead the next time round. Further up, these two still very close by. It's just getting stronger and stronger with every lap that passes, and Friedrich is going to be in for a long 4.5 minutes if he's going to keep the runners-up spot.
Well, remember, these two are teammates, and I think having speaking to them in previous races, they are allowed to race, and remember, they are fighting for the championship, and Barry second, Friedrich is first, of course, and, well, Lip is going to be gaining a few points on Barry if it stays like this. I think they will be on the same points if it does stay like this, as it will only be a few points different between Lip and James, but Friedrich will still, of course, be leading the championship as he scored many second places, and if it stays like this, it will just add to his many consistent second places so far this season. But hey, consistency is what's going to win you championships, as Barry now trying to go around the outside. This will be interesting to try and stick it as Bjorklund tries the same thing. Barry has stuck the landing. Into second place he goes, and now he will be 1 point ahead of Christoph Lipp, and it sets him up nicely for the feature race if it stays like this. Christian Barkin coming back at Bjorklund manages to stay ahead again. So Bjorklund's really struggling to try and get past his fellow Norwegian, and now it has brought in Skurret into this fight, and nearly's brought Larsen, Hirakopoulos, Gonzaga, Sorensen, and Lelive all into the fight for 4th place. So these final few laps could potentially get interesting if these guys don't speed it up a little bit.
Yeah, and there's points on offer here, but there's also grid positions as well for race 2. The race 2 grid is set by the finishing results of this race 1. And so quite a lot of interest for these drivers to gain places. Someone like Sorensen isn't going to score any points if it ends like this. It's 10 points for the race winner, 1 point for 10th, and everyone else fills it in, but that's why for Bjorklund. Can he hold on to this position? Licking his lips right now will be Skurret. He's going to have a terrific run on these drivers. Jestrin Bakken will be delighted. He's well clear of 4th place. I don't think he's going to be laying that up now for the rest of the race because he's 2.3 seconds clear. But, oh, sorry, 9/10 of a second clear. But Reitinen is 2/10 of a second behind Bjorklund. Could not get close enough though. Maybe that small draft still that Bjorklund had was enough to keep him in touch. And there are no changes into T1, but down to 12th place, they're all in a snake.
Yeah, well, now it's going to be interesting for the battle for 5th. Unless Bjorklund can try and catch back up as Reitinen now thinking about it. Bit of a change in direction at the last minute from Bjorklund. A little bit on the edge of the rulebook there, but still managed to keep ahead of Reitinen and Skurret, Larsen, Hirakopoulos, Gonzaga. And like you said, drivers like Sorensen, you know, they want to be scoring points in these races. He just needs to get up 1 place ahead of anyone up ahead. Is there going to be a mistake, potential contact over these last few laps? And like you said, Sam, a bit surprising that there's not been really any mistakes apart from Bjorklund on the last lap and maybe a couple drivers running a bit wide. But yeah, it's really surprising. This track, of course, is very high speed, then into some heavy braking zones. And one little moment, one snap of oversteer, maybe following another car in the dirty air, can catch you out, especially around the last corner where it seems to be quite tricky following other cars. You know, I'm surprised there's not been that many mistakes, as this is going to be the white flag. Last lap of the race, there's Hirakopoulos, Sorensen actually, getting ahead of Gonzaga. So now he will be scoring a point and promotes himself up into the top 10 and demotes Gonzaga outside into 11th. And I could probably have a guess that that battle will go on until the end of this lap. Lelive flashing the guys ahead, but it doesn't seem to want to fight these guys. So I genuinely am starting to think bit of a lock up there up front. I think that was from Skurret. As he now goes wide, he's lost a place to Larsen. And this is just getting chaotic on this last lap as people desperately trying to overtake one another for grid spots and a few points. As Skurret now tries to come back at Larsen. They're going nearly side by side through turns 8 and 9 as we head through the uphill braking. Very, very close. Hirakopoulos has to be careful not to run into the back of any of these guys. Now into the last proper braking zone. Hirakopoulos is going for it. It's a bit of a send, bit of wheel-to-wheel contact there as Skurret just about manages to hold on to 8th place. That was very, very good racing. But then we come back to the leader. It's Christoph Phillip, 3 seconds ahead of James Barry. And that was a very, very textbook win from Christoph Phillip, who gives himself a good chunk of points heading into the feature race. And wow, what an amazing battle we had up and down the grid as people desperately trying to fight for those last few points paying positions, as the last few amateurs that we are now waiting for to cross the line, as Mellis, Robertson and Guy didn't have too good of a race. They will finish the last 3 drivers on the grid, and now we can breathe.
Yeah, and on that last lap, Hirakopoulos was overtaken by Sorensen. So Sorensen beat Hirakopoulos by a couple hundredths of a second. He managed to get alongside through the second hairpin MG, and then alongside through T11 and the final corner, and got him on the checkered flag. Fantastic racing between those drivers. But Christoph Phillip won once again, 3 seconds ahead of James Barry, who did not have a good qualifying. So maybe Barry's race pace is better than his qualifying pace. And now that he'll be starting on the front row of the grid, that could be where he needs to be in order to offer a serious challenge come the 45-minute race, which will be starting in a few minutes' time. Andreas Friedrich of course, finishing in third place, stayed very close to Barry actually after he got overtaken, but of course they are teammates and they need all that teamwork in order to rival the German at the front of this race. Mats Jestrenbacken with a strong fourth position ahead of Kim Andre Bjorklund. Sally Reitinen in sixth place, now as Larsen Skurett. Sorensen overtook Kyrikopoulos, who'll be frustrated with that. He was up in fifth place, I think, at one point, Kyrikopoulos. Gonzaga was in 11th. Top of the AMS and gained the full 10 points was Dorian Laliva. Gordon Hawg was in 13th. There was Locke, Euler, Melis Robertson, and Guy finishing 36 seconds off the lead, which is not that much. Everyone has done very well as that 18 car field to stay within about half a lap at the end of the race.
We can take a bit of a breather before the onslaught of the feature race. 45 minutes round here. God, I can imagine that's probably going to be a bit exhausting, as this track seems to be providing some good racing today. And like you mentioned earlier on, the tyre wear is going to be something to think about, which they don't seem to take tyres this season. I think they're kind of just outside the window where it kind of becomes useful. I think if we had an hour's race, a lot of the drivers had said that they would take tyres, but 45 minutes is just a little bit too short for it to make that big of a difference. So have to go all the way to the end on these tyres around here. Very high-speed corners, like you said. And fuel, it's been a bit of an Achilles heel for some this season. The one that's made the most of it, of course, James Barry, getting himself up into good places just because he is an absolute machine when it comes to saving fuel. Can he do it again here? I'd say this track is decent for fuel saving. It's got a couple of opportunities, especially since the slipstream seems to be quite powerful around here. So it's just going to be a game of who can save the most fuel, I think, over those 45 minutes.
Yeah, it's such an imperative element when it comes to any racing in sim racing. So we ran aboard with Gordon Hawk. One of the strange things about this radical car is that the driver isn't centered with the wheel. You'll see the driver is actually slightly to the left of the wheel, to the right as we look at it. But yeah, when they straighten up, it's a bit of a strange one. Not quite sure why that is modeled like that. I don't think that's realistic. I've seen a bit obscene to have that in the real life car. But that is how it is modeled in iRacing. But the camera centers on the wheel, so that's why the individual is a little bit out of center.
Made me curious now. I'm looking it up because
Surely that's not a thing. Like, why would you want that, right? Like, no other car does that.
Well, a few other cars do that. I know the Lamborghini Murcielago does that.
Really? What? Where the steering wheel isn't in front of you?
Yeah, I think it's slightly angled. And I'm looking at pictures of the SR10 in real life, of course. And I mean, to be fair, a lot of them are right-hand drive because, of course, it is made in Britain. But I'm trying to sort of get the right angle where you can see it properly. From this angle that I've got, it does look like it's slightly off center.
Oh, really? Gosh. Oh, maybe
And
it's accurate than the iRacing one.
I mean, I'd be shocked if it wasn't, considering I'm pretty sure they get given the car to scan. So I'd be surprised if they messed that up. But yeah, it's weird because from some of the angles of like the pictures I'm looking at, it looks off center, but then from some of them it doesn't. It's very weird. I mean, obviously, if only I had the car.
Well,
so
yeah. We would like to have one of these radical cars in order to check ourselves. If anyone knows who's watching along, let us know now. If you are watching this back and you know, just message us on Discord because I'm really curious. I always thought it was like an iRacing mistake, but it'd be interesting to know if it's actually realistic.
I think it is realistic. Like from these pictures, it is slightly to the right of where the driver sits. So yeah, it seems to be realistic and strange choice, but I mean, clearly it doesn't really make a difference.
No, it's a very good car, very good car. As here is the grid: Christoph Lipp on pole. Of course, it's just the finishing order of race one, so I won't go through it's all. But Craig Gregory letting us know in chat, unfortunately not able to race tonight with PC issues. Hope to see you back in future, Craig. Damien joking that he should miss tonight with all the skill issues. Of course, he was in last place. But keep you up, Damien. You did score decent points actually in that first race. I think maybe 4 of them, I believe. So do keep it up. And Dorian Laliva saying that he does not have a problem with all the problems I've had with the Pro Drivers. I prefer to let them pass. So my hypothesis was correct on that one. So expect Dorian not to fight the drivers ahead of him too much. So here we go then. Wasn't a good start last time out for Christoph Lipp. He was able to hold on to the lead nonetheless. Let's see if he can improve it now as they go over the slight incline here at Phillip Island to start the race. It's a decent launch for Friedrich. It's a very good start for Friedrich actually, because he's already got ahead of Barry and now he's going to try to challenge for the lead as we've got a spin around. Reitinen has hit Jestrenbacken. Laliva, speaking about how he gets caught up with the pro drivers, he's got caught up in that. Still alongside for the lead though, with Lip trying to hold on. It's almost a carbon copy of what the lap 1 was earlier on, and again it's Friedrich marginally ahead but with the outside line. Last time he tried to carry too much speed into Honda hairpin. This time I don't think he's done anything wrong, but it's just irresistible, the speed from Christoph Lipp, who maintains the lead once again. Poor start for Barry, he's got to do that work all over again on Friedrich, but it is a crisis for 5 drivers, 6 drivers: Laliva, Scarrett, Bjorklund, Jestrenbacken, Veitinen and Gonzaga.
Well, that was honestly, I caught a glimpse of that in my eye, like, out the side. I think it was, I know Reitinen was one of the first cars involved. It might have been Reitinen and Bjorklund who came together initially, and then everyone else behind just had no idea what to do. And unfortunately, Laliva getting involved in that as well. He's fallen down to last place in the AMS. That's not going to be good for his championship hopes. But on that first lap, you saw Barry nearly running into the back of his teammate. That would have been a bit awkward if that had happened. But here is the replay of what happened at the start. And just watch for the blue and white car of Sally Reitinen. Let's see what happens here. And it was actually it was Bjorklund smashing into the back of Gretchenbakken, and then this seems to have happened behind.
Jestrenbacken lifted off the throttle quite early, and because of the, like, I mean, he can possibly react. It does seem awfully early that he lifted off compared to the maybe even braked actually. And then of course Bjorklund was slow himself, and then it's a secondary contact. So, I mean, one could argue it's all Bjorklund's fault, but I don't know. I feel like that was way too early if he did brake there for turn 1, which is barely a corner that you brake, and they were well before the corner. I didn't quite understand it.
Yeah, I mean, you would say that by the book, it would have been Bjorklund probably getting the big penalty there, because he's the one who ran into the car in front. So it's just one of those lap 1 things. I think I don't think anyone really deserves a penalty for that, to be honest, because yeah, the car in front slowed down quite significantly. I don't think Bjorklund would have had an amazing chance to react that well, especially considering the high-speed nature of turn 1. Yeah, I just think it's an awkward turn 1 incident. I don't think anyone is particularly to blame. I think maybe, you would put it on Bjorklund, but I mean, it's just unfortunate, isn't it? And then when he slowed down, I think in reaction to what had just happened in front of him, it caused an even bigger issue behind. And then I think about 4 cars were involved in that himself. I think it was Laliva and 2 other drivers as well.
Yeah, Gonzaga got involved in it as well.
So, unfortunate, and we've basically lost nearly half the grid.
JR Gregory, welcome JR, mentioning Cousin Craig, oh noes. Oh, of course, about Craig unfortunately not being able to do the race today. So, yep, we have that sympathy as well. JR, glad that you're watching along. Hope that you are well in the afternoon, as I imagine it is, over at the Atlantic. So we've got 7 pro drivers at the front, then 6 AM drivers, and then 5 pro drivers at the rear of this 18 car field. And it's a little bit disappointing to have that impact, because I think the field was so competitive in race 1 that I think we were quite happy to have what we had in race 1, but for 3 times longer. This is going to be a different race now, though. Some drivers are going to be out of position, and some drivers have already taken their pit stop. And if I recall correctly, Aaron, I think you can you get to the end of the race if you pit on lap 1? Or do you think they'll have to pit again? I think they'll have to pit again, because I think I think their fuel tanks are limited so that they can't get to the end, but I might be wrong on that.
I think it is around from memory. I think you do have to do a few laps round it. I think it is around 10 or 15 minutes to where they can fill up until the end. Of course, you wouldn't do it under normal circumstances because it's just so much slower. But yeah, I mean, when you're forced to do it, it does get a bit awkward. I mean, honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if most of the drivers didn't even pit for fuel. They just came in for their repairs and then left, which a few drivers have done, but some of them do seem to have taken fuel as well.
Yeah, I
So
think so,
maybe.
because I can't remember because this is a fixed setup series, and so I think what it might be is maybe the fuel tank isn't limited, but the fixed setup doesn't have full fuel in it. So if you pit on that point, you can put more fuel in. But of course, because the fixed setup doesn't have max fuel to start off with, so they all put 11 seconds in, which I think is enough to make it a full tank. But yeah, I'm not sure if that's enough to get to the end of the race. If anyone does know, please do let us know in chat. But this is looking fun. Top 4 are very close. We were concerned that Christoph Lipp, as he has done on so many occasions this season, would sprint off into the distance, but it's not been the case. Friedrich is there, Barry is there, and judging by race 1, Barry's probably faster than Friedrich, but Friedrich had a better start than Barry, hence why he is ahead. But Kettle Larsen, who we didn't really see too much of, honestly, in race 1, he was a bit of a quiet one, finished in P7 in race 1, running comfortably with these front 3 at the moment, sticking in the draft, and that will drag him along and hopefully into play come the end of the 3/4 of an hour. Diego Zuccarelli saying correct, fuel capacity is limited. Okay, so fuel capacity is limited, so they will have to pit again then, I think, is what Diego is saying. So it's not limited like as much as the fixed setup. They can still put some fuel in, but they can't put in a full tank.
Yes, I do remember, I think, a similar situation happening sometime a few weeks, like a few races ago, and someone did have to pit towards the end, I think for like only a few seconds, but it is just about outside. So yeah, I kind of think the drivers at the bottom, their races have, well, if they weren't spoiled already, that just kind of makes it a little bit worse, to be honest. But you know, maybe something crazy can happen. And as Ryson does come back into the pits, I believe this might be just to fill up again. Potentially, actually, no, he hasn't pitted. Yeah.
Maybe he was carrying damage, perhaps.
And now he can?
Yeah, maybe he can get to the end from now. Kyriakopoulos just got past Hawk, by the way. Eula might get past Hawk as well. Very close between the two of them. Here they are. GT Unit is the team that Tom Eula is representing. Gordon Haug got SimRacing Norway, a very familiar team on the channel. As Vaten is out now back onto track, and he took that customary, but he took a little bit more fuel. He took 13 seconds, which I guess makes sense, seeing that he would have burned through some fuel by going out those 5 laps. But yep, he's back out there now, and yeah, we'll try to get to the end of the race. Here comes another driver. It's Lasse Sorensen, who I don't think, fairly certain that Sorensen wasn't carrying any damage, and well, he was in that 5th position, wasn't he, with a bit of clean air in front of him, but maybe after the fierce battling earlier on, he doesn't want to be part of that, as James Barry has moved up into 2nd place. Might have a move as well into turn 1 back here, but yeah, Barry has overtaken his teammate Friedrich and is up into 2nd place, maybe because they could see themselves losing a bit of time to the race leader.
Well, but potentially for Sorensen coming in now, it's going to put him out in some very, very clean air in which he can just get his head down and just focus on the drivers ahead. Yeah, he's got a huge lead over Scarrett behind. and about 14 odd seconds to Robertson ahead, which he probably will catch up to him eventually, as Euler and Haug are battling once again. Of course, means absolutely nothing in the grand scheme of things. Just a bit of an ego battle, something for them to do. As Ryson coming into the pits again. Interestingly, I do think the drivers at the back are just going to be going through this awkward sequence of, oh no, can I get to the end? No, I can't. I'm going to have to come in again. So let's see how long Rytonen's going to be in the pits for, or if he just gives up completely. Let's take a look. I don't think it'll be for very long. Never mind. He's going for a fairly long pit stop. Maybe serving a penalty?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Maybe. No, that's a decent shout.
No, it was. All
No,
right.
no,
Nope,
it's only 16
no, never mind.
seconds stationary. I don't know what's going on with
Okay.
Rytsonen.
Yeah, neither do I. I don't know what's he's been doing. A bit of a shame, considering he had such a good first race, to be honest. But yeah, he's had an absolute mare today in the feature race. So yeah, we definitely won't be seeing him. As
Euler.
yeah, indeed, Euler's had some kind of issue, and now Adam Locke is leading in the AMS. What has happened to Tom Euler? Looks like that's happened coming out of turn 2. Might have just gotten a bit wide on exit.
I'm amazed that no one's gone off so far at turn 2, but
Yeah.
actually, judging by how early we've cut to this, maybe it's through turn 1 that something's happening. He's right in the wheel tracks of the car ahead. That's a good line through there. No, it is going to be turn 2 actually, so yeah, he's going to overshoot it. Once you tip a wheel onto the grass on the outside, it's impossible to miss.
Oh,
But
just got
actually,
too close.
He actually hit the car ahead, and that could have been worse as well. Was fortunate not to do a full spin. And that is how Adam Locke managed to get past him. He was fighting, of course, with Gordon Hawk before that contact. So now Locke leading the way, but dare I say, Leliva currently down in 5th position. I'd still back him to catch and pass those amateur drivers ahead. He was so quick in qualifying.
I would say that, oh dear, that's correct. Going for, well, not his brake pedal, clearly, or going for it too much, as he goes very, very deep into turn 4 and falls back behind Grestenbakken and Bjorkland, as these two, of course, having their little tangle on the first lap. I wonder if there's a bit of tension here between these two, as Bjorkland trying to go around the outside. This is a bit of a bold move through turn 9, not seeing it very often, and there's even more contact.
Through Lukey Heights.
The plot thickens between these two, and well, if there wasn't tension before, there definitely is now.
Now, one would hope this is going to be netcode, but I don't think it is. This is definitely the right camera to go from. Well done to Luis on that one, because this will give us the best angle of whose fault this was. I'm saying that's a racing incident.
Yep. I'm probably inclined to agree. I think Christian Borken was drifting a little bit to the right, and potentially Bjorkland could have left him a bit more room, maybe backed out of it, and he was still sticking his nose up there when he shouldn't really have been. So yeah, I'm going to agree and just say that was probably just a racing incident. And yeah, unfortunate for those two. They've already had an incident, and well, they just added another one to their roster. And of course, it's not helped Christian Barken's race at all, as Skrett has now caught up to the back of Bjorkland. So now he can potentially act revenge on what happened to his teammate just a lap ago. But yeah, back on to what we were saying about Leliva. Under normal circumstances, I would say, yes, I agree. I think he'll catch up to the cars in front and probably will overtake them with ease. But, I mean, let's not forget, he's probably carrying quite a lot of damage from the first lap. So he's not catching these guys at an amazing rate. It's only like a few tenths a lap, and on some laps he hasn't gained on them at all. But potentially losing a little bit on the straights, and I do imagine he has quite significant front-end damage, potentially suspension as well. It was quite a big hit that he got on that first lap. And it does look like his front bumper is bent slightly, but actually doesn't look too bad.
Who was this, say?
Leliva on the first lap.
Oh, of course, yeah. Yeah, I thought he was going to have to go back to the pit because he was one of the first guys to be involved with it, obviously, as you were saying before. And yeah, I'm surprised he hasn't come into the pits. I mean, we've given some information from Racer Ryan. Wide goes Bjorkland. A few more mistakes. It's a bit more what we expect here at Phillip Islands. The mistakes that we're seeing now. Race 1, everyone was so stringent, whereas race 2, we are just seeing a few mistakes. Racer Ryan in chat saying, at the start you were given 10.6 gallons, but the max fuel tank is 10.4 gallons. But you still have to do a couple of laps, about 5, before you can stop and go to the end of the race. Thank you for that information, Racer Ryan. What I would say is that some of the drivers who pitted on lap 6, for example, like Sorensen, he took 12.5 seconds of fuel. Someone who pitted on lap 1, Scarrett, took 11.5 seconds of fuel. So that indicates actually the guys who pitted on lap 6 didn't necessarily take any more fuel. So I feel like maybe the guys who pitted on lap 1 might be alright. Obviously, it changes every circuit, and this is a low fuel consumption circuit as far as I'm aware. It's so many sort of corners, and you're not necessarily killing your speed that much. It's a lot of sort of half-speed corners, so you're not wasting a whole lot of fuel. You're able to sort of like manage the speed through each of the corners, but you're still off the throttle for a lot of the laps. So I think those guys who pit on lap 1, they might get to the end, but I could be wrong. Locke comes into the pits now from the lead of the amateurs as Leliva has made a mistake. Maybe trying to get into the pits himself, but he's off the circuit for a while, and that will make his comeback tougher.
Yeah, I think you were spot on there. I think it was potentially coming into the pits, or maybe he's done it just before. Down into turn 10, this corner is notoriously quite tricky. Looks a little bit deep there. Manages to get it stopped. So, yeah, I think it might just be coming onto the pit entry. And, oh dear, that's a very awkward spin that he's had there. And potentially might get a penalty for that, as he's completely missed the pit entry line.
Yes, well, he is out of the pits, though. So 14 seconds. So I think he escaped that one, fortunately. So Leliva now 15 seconds behind Adam Locke. Wow. Be crazy if Locke outscores Leliva tonight, considering how much faster Leliva was in qualifying. But that's what race 1 incidents do for you. Come the feature race, Bjorkland, meanwhile, after his mistake a few moments ago, has got ahead of Alexander Skurets for P14.
Yeah, Skurets and Bjorkland. I have the feeling this battle will go on for quite a while. Gresham Barker might come back into this as well later on. Of course, Skurets was one of the unfortunate men who was involved in that lap 1 incident. I think he was one of the cars that initially went into the back of Bjorkland at the start. It's very difficult to tell. It was a big blur. There was about 5 or 6 cars that ran into Bjorkland in the end. So, yeah, it's not. I'm just surprised. I'm still surprised that they all that all happened. To be honest, you don't really get pile-ups at Phillip Island. Oh dear. And well, that's you've been saying we haven't had many mistakes today, and this race is definitely proving a little bit more.
Well, yeah, I feel like Kimonje Bjorkland is single-handedly bringing the error tally back to par, shall we say, because he is making one every other lap at the moment, and I think his face will be as red as his car very soon, because he will not be happy with how this race has gone, but he's still continuing on. And this is a dangerous circuit to do that. I mean, fortunately, the track temperature isn't too warm, as I was saying before. This is the winter in Australia, but even then, once you overheat the tires here, it's tricky to cool them down. They wear away, and so once you have one slide and you try to bring it back, it can be a cyclical effect, and it can be a very negative one. So he needs to be careful not to get into his own head too much. These guys still haven't pitted. Still the top 10 in this race have not pitted so far. But this is for second place at the moment in the amateurs. It will probably turn into third place once all the pit stops are complete. And it's Mellis leading Guy, leading Robertson. Not Robertson. Robertson's way back, apologies. This is Mellis, Guy. Who's behind them?
Reitinen.
Yeah, Reitinen. He's a lap down.
Yes, unfortunately. Just goes to show how awful his race is gone as he locks up into turn 4, so it's just not getting any better for the Finn. The only driver that's had a worse race somehow is Gonzaga, who was the only driver, I think, who towed back after the lap 1 incident, and very clearly, oh, it didn't do him any favours. He was 2.5 minutes in the pit lane after he towed back, so a bit surprising. I wouldn't expect the tow to be that long round here, but I guess it was pretty much at the first corner, so he got the longest tow humanly possible, and well, very much has paid the price for it, unfortunately. As just looking at the drivers at the top, as Smellis now comes into the pits as well.
Oh
Now we
no!
are getting oh
Oh no! No!
oh
No! No!
oh no oh dear.
Can we get on board, please, with that, and I'll post it on
Oh.
social media.
Oh, I don't know why that was so heartbreaking to watch as Lelive
Looking
gets
like
passed by Scarrett as
the
well.
front of the car now looks like a praying mantis.
Yeah, that's heartbreaking. Well, he's definitely going to be in the pits for a little bit longer than expected, and lost a bit of time as the Belgium driver. I don't really know what happened there.
He's got a faster pair, so he's all right. No more
Yes,
praying,
that is
praying
yes.
mantis.
Unfortunately, I didn't really see what happened there. I just
He dipped a wheel onto the dirt, and it compromised his braking. And I thought, okay, he's going to be all right here, because he quickly got back onto the tarmac. But then I think just that little bit of time on the dirt was enough to end any chance he had of getting it stopped before the line. Here we go.
as looks all right, and then just a tiny bit wide, and he kept accelerating.
Was he accelerating? Maybe I was.
He was. I don't know. Like as he got onto the grass, he was still accelerating until about 100 feet from the pit cone. So yeah, I don't know why Melis did that, but fair enough. He in the end actually didn't lose that much time, but wasn't the most ideal pit entry I've ever seen in my life. But he's he's still ahead of Leliva, so he's having a better race than him at least.
Yeah, I think that's a really good demonstration of just how badly this race has gone for Dorian Leliva. I think Leliva's pit entry may have lost him almost as much time as
probably more
as Melis's. So I think he lost about 8 seconds from that pit entry to Leliva. So ugly for him. As into the pits comes no. Sorry, I'm looking at Robertson. Something happens to Robertson. I don't think he came into the pits.
I think he might have tried. I'm not sure. I mean, the pit entry here isn't easy. I will give people that.
Yeah, it's a controversial pit as well here. Marc Marquez back in 2013, when in his debut season in MotoGP, they had a bizarre race where the tyres at Phillip, because it's such a bad circuit on the tyres, they couldn't do the full race. So in MotoGP, you never have pit stops. But they had to change bikes because the tyres. It was like an Indy 2005 situation where like it was unsafe to go more than a certain number of laps. So they had to pit, but Marquez did, I think, 1 lap too many laps before he pitted from the lead, and he got disqualified, I think, and nearly lost the championship because of it. But managed to win nonetheless. But yeah, so yeah, it's a usually unused pit entry here. I mean, this place is mainly for sprint racing, but yeah, when it is used, it can be controversial.
Now that I think about it, Australian tracks just always have difficult pit entries.
Yes. Yeah.
I mean,
you're thinking of Coulthard, right?
Yes, I mean Adelaide. Yeah, its pit entry is a bit awkward, but I mean when you think about Bathurst, I mean even that's not very easy, is it? It's just got an awkward chicane as Lelive briefly gets past Scarrett, but I mean here it's not too difficult. You just kind of have to follow one single line and you should be fine. Bathurst, it's got like 2 weird chicanes before you get into the pit entry, and with Bathurst as well, if you have one of the first pit boxes, you have to know, because I definitely am not speaking from experience during the Bathurst 12 hour. where I missed my pit box and had to crawl back to the pits because we ran out of fuel, nearly. So,
Well, you know what, Aaron? You've really touched on something here because Winton, there was a clipped moment which didn't make the Apex Racing TV monthly highlights, but it was noted down of a spin on the pit entry of Winton as well. So you're absolutely right.
exactly.
You're so right.
I think I was going to say the only one I can think of that's somewhat normal is Melbourne, like Albert Park. But I mean, obviously, we don't have that on iRacing, so yeah, who cares? But I mean, even then, the old Albert Park pit entry was a bit awkward because it kind of was similar to Bathurst. It has an awkward chicane at the end, and I think about 20 or 30 years ago, it didn't even have a wall coming into the pits. So if you spun going through the awkward chicane, you were just back on the circuit. So yeah, I mean, they've improved it since, and it's a fairly straightforward pit entry now, mainly because it's for Formula One, and obviously they need to be babied as much as possible. But I mean, yeah, Winton, Bathurst, you'd probably debate Surfers Paradise as well. Wasn't very easy, as this battle's still going on. Scret thinking about a move. Laliva just about holding on. But yeah, Australians apparently just love a difficult pit entry.
And of course, good news recently that Adelaide will be added to iRacing soon.
Yes.
But Corby Park has been in the has been confirmed as being signed for several years now, actually. But that's never reared its head. I don't think anyone's particularly excited about that. But iRacing do have a connection to supercars over in Australia, so they do have some motivation to include those circuits. But yeah, Adelaide I think will be a good one. A lot of fond memories from F1 times, well before our time, obviously, Aaron. But still some people will remember the good days from that circuit.
Yeah, I mean, Laliva's been passed by Scret as well. That battle seemingly never ending, to be honest. As well, this isn't for points, and it is heating up. And Laliva, of course, saying in chat, and well, here now he's spun Scret round. And well, Scret's race it just keeps getting worse, to be honest. And now he's down to 16th place. And well, that's really not going to go down well.
I think, I mean, nice move here from Alexander. Not much defense put up by Dorian. I think this is all Dorian, honestly, from first view. Maybe.
I mean, yeah.
Maybe I'm gonna have some.
I agree.
Nah, I don't think there's. I know there is a gap on the inside there, but it's always
not really.
Not a good choice to go on the inside mid corner. And Scret, he can have as good a profile picture as he wants, and it is a fantastic cutout, but it doesn't deny you from being involved in collisions like that.
Yeah, and well, Laliva's really not had a good time of it today, unfortunately, in this feature race. And well, perhaps he would have been better instead of giving up all those places at the start. You know, he might have put him in a better place. So I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't have done what Laliva did on that first heat race. I mean, if you're going to fight people, I know sticking behind them is probably a smart thing to do in hindsight, but I don't know. I always think you should just be as far up the grid as you probably should be and not really mix it in with people that you're clearly quicker than. But hey, that's just my opinion, as how coming into the pits now from 6th place, starting to get more and more pit stops, and I reckon we'll probably get everyone in the pits probably either at the end of this lap or next lap, or the lap after. I'm just chatting out of my backside here.
Well,
I don't really know.
I think you're absolutely right. I think you have confidence behind your words that you're plucking from thin air, Aaron. Because I mean, from what Racer Ryan said earlier on, that they start on a half tank, and if we're assuming that the guys can go to the end of the race from lap 1 marginally, then they should be able to go half the race in that tank. In that case, a full tank should go the whole race, half tank should go half the race, and we are now halfway through the race. So I think if Race Orion's numbers are correct, then this will be enough. This is confirmation. The fact that a lot of the drivers have gone beyond halfway. This is confirmation that those who pitted on lap 1 will be able to get to the end of the race, which is good. It will bring them back in play. As the leader is in, Barry is in. Friedrich, though, managing to go the extra lap. He was stuck behind Barry for a lot of that first stint. Of course, Larson was stuck behind those top 3 for the entire stint, and so it makes sense that they were in the draft and were able to save some fuel. I wonder just taking some tyres there. I don't know if we can get cameras on Friedrich and co. Friedrich's not taking tyres. Is Lip taking
I think it
tyres?
might have been Kirikopoulos.
Apologies.
Or Euler, maybe.
Oh, sorry, yeah, you're absolutely right. Yeah, Kirikopoulos was sitting in the yellow car. He's not taking tyres, and coming out just behind him is Lip, who's still in the lead, still ahead of Barry.
Yeah, surprisingly, for once, James Barry has not really had that good of a pit stop compared to his competitors around him. As Lip actually is the one who had a better pit stop than James Barry, which I don't think we've said all season, to be honest. I'm surprised that Friedrich has managed to stay out another lap, but then again, he has been in the slipstream of Barry this entire race. So maybe not that surprising, and we'll see what kind of pit stop times him and Larson do, because don't forget, Larson has been there or thereabouts in this race. Of course, the lap 1 incident definitely has helped his case in this race after a bit of a tricky first heat race, and they should be coming into the pits this lap. Bit of a late entry from both of them, but gotta take as wide a line as you can, and let's hope they can get it stopped on the dime. Friedrich seemingly leaving it very, very late coming into the pits. And now, I won't expect any of them to get close to Lip. I mean, he was about 3 seconds ahead of them. But it's just going to be about for second now, isn't it?
Absolutely, yeah. It will be close between Barry and Friedrich. I don't think Larson will quite be there, but these will be short pit stops. Barry will station for 11.5, Friedrich 11.7, Larson 11.6. So Larson gets a bit closer. But I think Barry will probably stay ahead. Here he comes, leaves his teammate a bit of space. And
No,
Barry
just
is
about,
just about ahead. He is just about ahead. It was Larson, so that he was leaving some space for. Larson actually had a quick pit stop. I don't know why he's quite so far back.
He was slower than the other two.
But in the pit stall, he was 1 second faster, was Larson. 10.6.
No, he wasn't.
Oh, so in the pit stall he was faster. In the pit lane he was slower.
It doesn't say in the pit stall he was faster for me. It says he was slower.
For me it says Larson 10.6, Friedrich 11.6.
For me it says Larson 12.1 and Friedrich 11.8.
Oh, okay. I'm not sure what's going on with our numbers.
Well, judging by the fact that Larson lost a lot of time, I'm going to say mine is the correct one.
It probably is, yeah.
But either way, I'm genuinely think that this is the first time that Christoph Lipp has had the quickest pit stop out of anyone, and by about half a second as well compared to the rest of the grid. So yeah, Christoph Lipp has just had an amazing round today, and I don't really think anyone is going to be anywhere near him. And this is kind of more of what we expected from Christoph Lipp. More of this season, as he kind of started the season like this, but just like I mentioned before, it kind of fell off over the last sort of 5 or 6 rounds.
How long did you say Larson's pit stop was, Aaron?
For me, it says Larson's was 12.1.
Okay, so we got 12.1, 11.5, and mine is 10.6. So it's one of them.
I mean, we could just meet in the middle and
I
say
think
about
11.5 is the middle. Yeah, I think that's probably right.
Yeah, I don't really know what happened there, but pit stop time seems to be relatively
mine
accurate.
is correct. Yeah, mine is correct when it comes to pit stop time. That's odd. Yeah, all of my pit stop times are. Barry's a 10th out, but I mean that.
I was to say all of mine are about a 10th out. Yeah.
Okay, so that's not. We can deal with that. But yeah, Larson was a little bit slow. I'm surprised actually that those guys who went a lap longer didn't have shorter pit stops. I don't know. Maybe if they put a little bit more fuel in, maybe they got a bit more. Oh no! What's up? Lip.
Lip.
Lip has pitted
Oh
again.
no!
Has he sped on pit exit?
I don't think he had, because I mean he has had the shortest pit stop. Was it too short?
Oh, but surely you would pit
That's-
with like a lap to go, right? Or try to save the fuel. Why would you pit now?
That's a grave error from Christoph Lip. And is it a penalty? Well, it's quite a long pit stop, so yeah, I think it is a penalty. Oh yeah. Oh, interesting. I've just checked the penalties. Leliva has one, Lip has one, and Friedrich has one. Interesting.
This is
So
crazy. What?
Friedrich did. I did think Friedrich's pit entry was a bit speedy, and yeah. So Friedrich has sped in the pits. Looks like Lip did as well, and the Lever's race, well, it just got worse.
But
So
if you speed on pit entry, you serve that in your pit stop. You don't serve it afterwards. It's only on pit exit that you would serve it.
I don't know.
But it was 43 seconds for Lip. Unless it's like the pit exit line. It's nothing to do with that, is it?
Maybe, I'm not sure. I mean,
I might do some searching.
I guess it depends how late the penalty flashes up. Surely, I don't know. Maybe as
So who else did you say has got a penalty? Friedrich.
Friedrich, yes, as he comes into the pits as well.
So Friedrich in now. I mean, even that's pushing it a bit.
Yeah, he doesn't want to get another one. That would be very
Man,
awkward. So
40 seconds. So Barry Larson, Kyriakopoulos is up to third now.
this is going to be huge for Barry. I mean, Lip obviously has now had an absolute mare. He's going to be scoring, I don't think, any points today, or maybe very little.
Well, it's top 15 get points.
Oh, yes. I was thinking of the heat race for some reason. But it's going to be the same for Friedrich as well. So could James Barry be leading the championship? Or at least it will be very close.
Yeah, it will certainly be because he would have closed the championship lead in race 1, right? By
Yeah.
1 point, so.
So, wow. This race has just turned on its head. Interesting.
Yeah, I'm going to go back to their pit exits on my system to try to figure out what has been going on.
Yeah, I honestly do not know. Yeah, Friedrich, in the end, was not stationary for very long. So maybe he got a shorter penalty. I mean, that would be very weird. So this has completely fried my brain, to be honest. I do not know what's happened, why they've been given the penalties. I think hopefully we'll get some clarity on that at some point. But Lip was definitely for speeding.
I think Lip sped on pit exit. I'm just watching back his onboard, and he like accelerates before. I think he does. Oh.
Right.
Because
Because I mean, some drivers do tend to push the pit entry and pit exit speeds a little bit to try and obviously gain some time. And maybe they just pushed a bit too much. I don't know. But I mean, Lip's penalty makes sense. If he did speed, he was only stationary for like 40 odd seconds. But Friedrich was only stationary for 16. So
yeah, I think Friedrich
I'm
did
a
the
bit
same.
confused.
I think Friedrich sped as well. It's almost as though Friedrich like doesn't have the pit lane limiter on initially, then applies it again and then lets it go again.
Right.
On the onboard. It's as though he disables it coming out of the pit, suddenly realizes, oh hang on, just as he goes over, I need to deploy this. Yeah, I think they sped on pit exit.
But then why was Friedrich's penalty
so
so
why
small?
wouldn't you have had it longer? Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, maybe my logic doesn't work.
I think that's why I'm confused, because Lips, like I said, it makes sense. When you speed in the pits, you get a 40-second penalty. As Skret trying to get past Melis. Let's hope Skret can avoid more contact. He's already had quite a bit of contact, especially with AMS today. Kind of been a bit of a magnet for them. As Melis obviously having an awkward pit entry, to say the least. As round the outside through turn 8 and now into turn 9. Skret still cannot get past the Belgium driver. Melis doing a great job at defending. from Skret. But yeah, honestly, this whole penalty situation has completely fried my head because
I
I don't
love
know
the
what's going on.
controversy. I love the controversy. And I mean, you identified it earlier on. I mean, you know, you spotted it when you said the pit entry. And I think you were one step away from hitting the nail on the head 10 minutes before it happens with the pit exit. So congratulations on that one, Aaron, as Scott
I'm a
goes
prophet.
past Melis. You absolutely are. Um, how far up can Scott get? He won't get Bjorkland. That'll probably be as far up as he gets. So, I mean, what a result for Locke. And credit to Locke as well. He's only 19.5 seconds off the lead as well, is Adam Locke. What a good result from him. Sometimes we get to this stage in these races at Phillip Island when the tyre wear is high. And I don't think the tyre wear is too high, too fair. I think you were right earlier on, Aaron, in terms of, you know, the drivers don't change tyres in this series, and it's not usually that bad. But certainly in the past, we've had like long races at Phillip Island, and you get to the final 5 minutes of the race, and you have some midfield drivers who are going faster than the leaders just because their driving style has helped them maintain the tyres. I'm watching out to see if that's happened at all, but it looks fairly uniform. Still Barry, fastest man out on circuit. We've got the likes of Friedrich, who's going fast. Friedrich actually catching up to Guy now, albeit that's not for points. The closest battle for points is Jestrom Bakken versus Bjorkland.
Yeah, Friedrich now gets past Guy. Of course, again, not for points. As Guy still on the podium. And, well, wasn't he the man who was a little bit disappointed with his performance in the first heat? Well, he's going to get a podium in this race in the AMS. So just by staying clean, he's just been a bit quiet this race, stayed out of trouble, and is going to finish ahead of about half the grid today. So fair play to Damien Gee. Going to have a great finish today. And while both championships now have taken a huge turn, as while the AMS, of course, there's a few drivers that aren't here. Adam Locke, Euler, gonna both score some good points. Lalive could have scored good points, but well, has just had an absolute of a mare in this feature race. And of course, the pros. Your main championship protagonists in Lip and Friedrich are going to be scoring minimal points today, as James Barry will be the top scorer and will take well, if it stays like this, a second victory in a row and his second of the season.
Also a reminder as well that in the championships, you want to win the overall championship. I'm not quite sure what the prize is for that, but what you also want to do is get the top 10 in both the Pro and the AMS. I believe it's top 10. I could be wrong on that, but yeah, I think it's maybe top 10 Pro and Am on each of the Europe and America's America's championships in order to get to the World Finals, which I believe is in November. And at the moment, guys who'd be benefiting from that, Kim Onjo Bjorkland came into this round in 11th place in the championship. He'd move up, I think, into the top 10 ahead of the likes of Myron Ianni, and John McHutchinson might be dropping outside that top 10. Alexander Skuret will get himself back in there. Sally Veitinen will close the gap. Gordon Hawk will perhaps give himself a bit of a chance. That's all in the pros. In the AMS, I think we have got everyone in this race is already in the top 10, but the likes of Stefan Mellis, who's currently in 10th, these points will help him get a little bit of a cushion in terms of the position that he needs. So yeah, good work from a lot of the drivers today in terms of getting the points they need for that world final in November, which is what 8 months of racing all culminates into.
I mean, just thinking about it, apart from Friedrich, everyone up from 9th place are the only drivers today who haven't really had any issues. They've just been very consistent, stayed out of trouble, and well, like I said, apart from Friedrich, who obviously has had his mystery penalty, everyone else has had some kind of problem from 10th downwards. Christian Barkham, Bjorkland, Scaret obviously involved in the first lap collision, along with Lalive, Wrighton, and Gonzaga. Robertson, I think, has just had a poor pit stop. I think, yeah, he was about nearly 40 seconds in the pit stop. I don't think it was a penalty. I think he just took all tyres and maximum fuel. Other drivers as well. Lip, of course, having his gigantic, about 42-second penalty in the pits, and Melis having, as you described it, a praying mantis car after smashing into the wall on the pit entry. So a very topsy-turvy race and a surprising amount of mistakes, considering we basically had none in the first race.
Yes, yeah, very chaotic event this one. And it does seem like the drivers who pitted on lap 1 for Pairs are going to get to the end of the race as well. Back and Bjorklund, Skorets, all pitted on lap 1, but they have not pitted since. They're about half a lap off the lead, some 45 seconds off the lead. So they have really maximised this result as best as they can. They are catching up to Damien Guy, but only by about half a second a lap. So as they start their last lap of the race, they will not catch up. And Bjorken still hoping to maybe get a top 10. Overall, that is. It would be an extra 2 points in the championship if he can get this move done.
Well, it's going to be his last chance to do so, as we are on the white flag, I believe, this lap. And, well, what can Bjorklund do? Of course, Gresham Barkin defending the inside. We've not really seen the outside line work through turn 4, and this time, same story. But cutting back to James Barry, a very, very shock victory, but that's what you get for being consistent. It's James Barry taking the victory in this feature race at Phillip Island, and potentially bringing himself ever closer to the top of that championship in the pros, and if not, overtaking Friedrich. I don't think he's quite close enough to do that.
I
But
think
now,
he has done it. Yeah, I think Friedrich will get
has he?
some
Oh, fair enough.
10 points. So Barry 20, then Larson 18, Kirkopoulos 16, Sorensen 14, Hawk 12, Friedrich 10. I believe he will now lead the championship by 1 point, Barry. If I got it right. He was 10 points behind at the start of the day. He outscored him by 1 point in race 1, outscored him by 10 points in race 2. Also, we got bonus points as well in that. But so yeah, I think he's done enough. Anyway, Adam Locke managed to win in the amateurs. Congratulations to Adam. That is a very good points haul for him. That will help him close the gap to Gabriel Berger. In fact, with Berger not being around tonight, I imagine he's ahead of Berger now in the amateur championship. So really good work from him, and extends his lead over Dorian Leliva as well. In fact, I think with the strong result for Eula, I think Eula will probably be up into at least 3rd position in the championship, maybe even 2nd position in the championship after that. Leliva will finish 15th, and Reitinen in 16th. Robertson ended up finishing at the bottom. He was behind Gonzaga, who spent the vast majority of the race in last, but yeah, Robertson with a long pit stop put him into that 18th place.
I think that will probably go down as one of the more chaotic feature races that we've had this season. And surprisingly, not really that much on-track action, really, at all. Not really any wheel-to-wheel battles. It was just penalties, a huge crash at the start, obviously, and yeah, it just was a very, very strange race, but still quite entertaining.
Yes, I very much enjoyed it. And it was James Barry who I'm sure enjoyed it as well. 3.9 seconds ahead of Larson. Larson was there with Barry for the entire race, but couldn't quite launch an attack really in the second half of the race. Kirkopoulos did really well, considering that he was dropping back in the first race. His pace in the second race was much stronger and finished only 10.5 seconds off the lead. Sorensen was in 4th, then it was Horg. Locke was top of the AMS ahead of Eula, and then it was Friedrich Guy. Back and Bjorklund, Skorets, Lip, Melis, Leliva, Reitinen, Gonzaga, and Robertson. Really good to see everyone finish the race as well. That's what we want to see, and credit to the drivers as well, considering the various issues that they had out on circuit, that they yeah, had some tenacity and stuck with it. So let's have a chat with one or two of our drivers. I'm curious to have a chat first with Dennis Kyriakopoulos, who joins us now. Dennis, congratulations, man. That is a really good result. I mean, we'll talk about race 2 in a moment, but let's first talk about race 1, because you had, if I recall correctly, a really good start in that one, but got a little bit swarmed in the end in the battles by the end of the 15 minutes.
Yeah, hello everyone. Hello Sam. So it's true, for the first race, I tried to do an overtake towards the end, and it cost me. Lasse passed me on the last corner with a beautiful pass. I tried my best, and unfortunately, it played against me.
But in race 2, it was much better. And I mean, like, obviously, third position is a great result for yourself. You're going to have to look back at the result or look back at the race later on to see what happened to the guys ahead of you. But I mean, even besides that, your pace was really strong. I mean, to finish 10.5 seconds off the lead um, after 45 minutes, I mean, were you surprised by how strong your pace was? Because it seemed a lot stronger than it was in race 1.
Yeah, it's true. I don't know, something clicked in race 2. I found really a good pace. I was really happy with how it happened, and I think one key component is that I didn't have pressure from someone right in front or right behind me. I was doing my thing, doing my race, and I think it played really in my favor.
Absolutely, yeah, it really does help when you get some clean air. And how was it at this Phillip Island circuit? I was saying a few times during the race how tire wear can be a big problem here. With the cooler temperatures, was that a thing today, or were you able to avoid that tire wear?
Yeah, definitely. I think that with the colder temperature, it helped. I did some testing with the normal temperatures, and it's true that tires are fading towards the end. I was really conservative in the start, and I saw that the car was behaving all the time really well. So I tried to push a bit more, and it always worked. So I continued like this, and even towards the end, no problem with tires. I think I did a pretty good job saving them during the race, and I didn't have to push 100% towards the end. So it's okay.
Well, congratulations on the podium, Dennis. Anyone you want to give a shout out to?
Yeah, to all the usual drivers, of course, and to you guys. Thanks for being every week here to commentate. It's really a fantastic job.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much for the kind words, Dennis, and we'll see you back in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, see you, Sam. Bye, everyone.
Dennis Kyriakopoulos, their radical legends veteran in these cars. Great to see him get a strong result right there. Aaron, who are you going to have a chat with?
Well, I think it would be unfair not to talk to our race winner today. And, well, James Barry is probably just as surprised as we are at what happened in that
Hey.
race. James, talk to us about that very, very shock race victory.
Hey, it's not that shock. Come on, I was in P2. But yeah, of course, when I saw Christoph going, I'm in VR and I was like looking at Christoph and I could see him in like the corner of my eye in my VR and I was blinking like, am I seeing things? Like, am I tripping here? Is that him going into the pit lane? Is that him? And yeah, so it turned out it was him. And then my teammate Andreas did the exact same thing. I assume Christoph sped in the pit lane and had a penalty because that's what Andreas did as well. So yeah, I was blessed today.
Yeah, very much so. And well, by our calculations, you are now leading the Pro Championship, and that's obviously going to be a huge morale boost. But one question that I have to ask because we were deliberating it for so long. Lip and Friedrich both sped in the pit lane, so how comes Friedrich's pit time was so much shorter than Lip's? Because to us that made absolutely no sense. Lip was in the pits for about 40 seconds, Friedrich only about 16.
Oh, really? I don't know if
Yeah.
well, I can't explain that. 40 seconds. I don't know if he was changing tires, put too much fuel. To be honest, I don't know because that's a huge amount. Like, putting extra fuel would only take like 2 seconds extra. So I can't tell you, to be honest.
Well, hopefully we'll.
But wait, what do
get
you mean?
some...
Christoph still came out in the lead, so he still had a decent pit
This
stop,
was
right?
the
He just
No,
penalty.
I meant the penalties
Ah.
for both of them. Like, Lip's penalty was the
right.
standard 40 second speeding, but Friedrich only 16, so we were just a little bit confused. Don't really know
I
what
don't
happened
know.
there.
I'm not too familiar with the penalties because I don't tend to get them myself.
Christoph has just put in the YouTube chat different penalties, 15 versus 40. So maybe it's just like a severity thing. Where
Yeah,
like
it must
maybe
be.
he
Yeah.
sped more.
Yeah,
That was the thing. But yeah, thanks to
it's
Christoph for giving us that.
yeah. Either way, it's resulted in your victory either way, so it doesn't really matter. But now that you are leading the championship, do you think you can hold on to it? Do you think it's going to be something that's over these next few rounds? It's going to be possible for you to come away victorious?
Yeah, for sure. I don't know if I would be leading or not because I think it depends on instant points. But either way, it's super close. And today, I've got a very close pace with Andreas. And today, I think he was struggling with the tyres at this track, and I was a bit soft on the tyres. So that was why I was able to beat him in both races on pace. So yeah, we can do it. And now Christoph's going to have some catching up to do. So let's see what happens. It's going to be interesting.
Yeah, definitely. It looked very comfortable for Christoph, and then, well, it just fell away from him completely, and definitely has hurt him points-wise in the championship. Well, congratulations, James, on another race victory. And before we let you go, anyone you want to give a shout-out to?
Yeah, I'll shout Shetel and Dennis out for the podiums that they picked up as well. And yeah, thanks to everyone involved. Thank you.
Well, thank you for coming along and talking with us, James, and congrats once again, and good luck for the next time out.
Thank you. See you next time. Bye.
So next up, we'll drag up our second place man, at least in the race 2, Ketzel Larsen, who joins us now. Ketzel, congratulations on that result. Let's first talk about race 1. I mean, you started in 11th place and had to work your way up through the order. It looked like a really fun race, a lot of sort of slipstreaming training, but looked like a fun sort of battle to have with about 5 cars ahead of you and 5 cars behind you.
Yeah, it was good. Of course, I messed up the quali a little bit. I wish I was a little bit better in the quali, but then I I got my head down and I had to overtake some guys, and I did it really good in race 1. So I had a great start in the second race.
Yeah, and that start, how much of the chaos did you see from your start? Was it just behind you or alongside you or what?
Both the cars in front of me, it was Mats and Kim. They hit each other. I don't know what happened, but I tried to look at the replay, but I doesn't understand why they crashed into turn 1. But when Kim is spinning, I hit him just a little bit, so I get a 4x, and the crew chief tells me I have damage in the front, but oh no, this race is ruined, I think. But the car was good, had great pace, and kept up with Barry and Andreas. So I was quite happy, and Andreas made a mistake, I think. Then I got P2, and I'm not sad for that.
Absolutely, yeah, you should be very pleased with that result. I mean, how was it at Phillip Island? Because it's not a circuit that we visit a whole lot necessarily. Had you done this car track combination in the past, and would you like to do it again?
I think it's a really good track, but in the radical, it's so hard to pass another guy without doing any mistakes. So and the slipstream is so good here, so it's hard to get gap to the guys in the back, and it's hard to pass each other. But it's a great fun to race there.
Definitely, yeah. There's some really good corners around here, and well, I'm glad that you managed to get a good result tonight, Kettle. Is there anyone you want to give a shout out to?
Yeah, of course, my team, my teammates, IGL Coatings, Sanne Trafikkskole, Elverdi, and my family, and you guys that make an awesome show for us.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much for the nice words, and we'll see you back in 2 weeks.
Yes, we will. Bye bye.
Kettle Larsen, they're finishing 7th place in race 1 and 2nd place in race 2, I believe, our second highest point scorer across the night. And I think we might have one more interview.
Yes, we do, and it's going to be Lasse Sorensen. Well, Lasse, that was an interesting day of racing, to say the least. Heat 1 was very much a bit of a tricky one for you, but
Yeah.
then the second race, the feature race, just opened up for you, and you managed to get a very good result.
Yeah, I did. I was quite happy that, or quite lucky. I got damage in the T1 cartridge, so I had to pit early. So it was just driving alone and maintain pace. And I knew I want to get some spots in the pit stops later on. So I was quite happy, and Friedrich and Lip also did get the speeding penalty, so that gave me 2 spots more. So I'm happy with fourth place today.
Yeah, very, very good result
Yeah.
for yourself. And wow, it's been I mean, just talk us through the lap one incident, because I mean, there were about 6 or 7 cars involved in that. And
Yeah.
yeah, just talk us through it, because it looked like hell to go through.
Yeah, I got a real good start. So I was in the middle of 2 other cars. It was Ketil and a guy inside me. When I think Kim just was unlucky and drive into the rear of Mats. I haven't seen the replay yet, but then it just started the carnage. So it was just close the eyes and hope for the best, to be honest. It was so tight and so small distances. So I was pure lucky, and I also quite tired going into this race because I come straight out of the VLN 4-hour race alone. So I just closed the one and got into this one. So, but happy I got pole and win in the top split there as well in the pickup. So, a good day for me.
Congratulations on your victory. And again, it was a good day of racing for you today as well. And
Yeah.
we're drawing sort of towards the end of the season now, only a few rounds to go. And
Yeah.
just tell us, how are you feeling for the rest of the season?
No, I'm quite relaxed to the rest of the season. It's just the target is just to qualify for the Worlds and then put in the practice necessary. So this week it's for me 0 practice, only driving the Friday race. That's all the practice I have on this track. So just to maintain the position on the table and then go for the Worlds.
Oh, fair enough. That's a
Yeah.
very fair goal to go for. Well, thank you for coming and talking with us, Sorensen. And before you let you go, as always, anyone you want to give a mention or shout out to?
Yeah, you guys making the broadcast awesome. We always share that. And also the teammates and our sponsors, Sande Trafikkskole especially.
Oh, thank you very much for the kind words. And, well, congratulations on a very good result today, and good luck for 2 weeks' time.
Thank you so much.
So I think that rounds out our interviews then for tonight. Of course, we've got still 3 more rounds of the championship remaining now. And the next round of the championship, of course, is Brands Hatch, which is on the 8th of September. So 3 weeks until that one, I guess. What do you think about Brands Hatch? It is the GP layout, obviously. But if the drivers were a little bit concerned with the lack of overtaking here, I mean, Brands Hatch is going to be another level. That is a super narrow circuit and a very tricky circuit to, to overtake. That's all.
Yeah, I mean, I'm obviously going to be biased because I'm British, and it was my home track. I literally used to live 30 minutes away from it, so been there a few times, and again, the British bias definitely coming in. But trying to be completely fair about the track, I think it's just a good all-rounder. I think for racing it's a bit more tricky, but these radicals typically just always provide some good action, and I think it'll be more of the same. And I think the pit stops definitely are going to matter a lot more than they did today, as I think today was a bit tricky to save fuel effectively, as the pit stop times were very, very close to one another. And I think Brands Hatch is going to be pretty much the complete opposite.
Yeah, well, it should be a good one. Of course, the action from Phillip Island isn't totally over, because in a few hours' time we're going to have the Americas League in Radical Sim Racing launch up. So do make sure to tune into that. That will be on, I believe, in maybe 3.5 hours, I believe. That one, it'll be on the channel, Apex Racing TV, so do certainly check out that stream. It should be a really fun one on that. And of course, do make sure to subscribe to the channel as well, and check out the Radical Sim Racing website as well, radicalsimracing.com, because as far as I'm aware, I think you can still sign up for the series. So if you want to take part in the action and maybe even actually have an outside shot at qualifying for the World Finals, it could still be possible even with the few rounds that we have remaining if you can get some big results. Go to radicalsimracing.com in order to register for the series. It'd be awesome to see you out on circuit, and of course do give the Radical a go in the iRacing official series. We've got the free Friday night split as well, so you can jump into that just for a little bit of fun. But yeah, like I said, do subscribe to the channel, check out all of our videos, and of course do check out the social medias as well for Apex Racing TV over on Instagram, Twitter and Facebook. But for now, from myself, Sam Fitzpatrick, from Aaron Smith and from Luis Araya, we are going to say goodbye, and we will see you back in 3 weeks time at Brands Hatch for the third to final round of the season. See you then.